30th of May 2005 was the end of vision for me. We're all wondering what I'm going to do. I've got various sort of ideas, but since I presume I won't be painting any more pictures. It's Wednesday the 8th of June, the most perfect, soft summer morning. I've decided to paint my first and presumably my last blind painting. I've got one stretched up canvas. I'm fairly certain that what I'm going to try and do is paint the hotel bar at Cadiz with the sun bouncing off the sea seen through the doorway, and sort of round to the left Peter across the little round table in the evening light. It's 12 p.m. now, and I've just had probably the strangest, I don't know what, hour and a half painting of my life, I should think. I think, I have to ask somebody, pretty well covered a canvas. And the extraordinary thing is that, I mean, although I am totally blind now, I just see the canvas changing colour when I put a pigment down on it. And it's fairly subtle too. It's not just seeing it go blue or red. I mean, it's not like somebody else would see the colour. Well, it's like I have seen the colour when I've been painting with the amount of sight I have had up until a week ago. Sort of not seeing it terribly well, and that thing I know, which is that so much of it's going on in the head. So I don't know. I wonder, maybe I can paint. I quite enjoy doing it, I must say. It seems inconceivable, and certainly did seem inconceivable, but there's a general consensus that the pictures that I made from 1989 or so up to 2005, when I was well registered blind and just had that little bit of peripheral vision in my left eye, that those paintings were better than the paintings I'd made before when I'd had something more like normal sight. So maybe the ones I make now when I'm totally blind will be the best ever. It seems a bit too much to hope for, but mainly I just want to go on wanting to do it.
I sort of grew up very much with a kind of an impressionist language, which I then, I think, understood how that language got kind of developed and extended by Cézanne and Gough and Matisse and Bonnat and people. The sort of language of light and space that I paint in, I mean, you know, is an incredibly sort of enfeebled somewhere sort of in that area. And I've always felt that making a true light and space was what mattered to me more than anything else. But there have been often times when I've sort of deeply regretted the loss of something, and I often have sort of wondered whether I ought to be prepared to maybe take a chance on that sort of perceptual truth to light, run the risk that it might be true in a slightly different kind of way. I suppose what I'm building up to saying in a very, very roundabout way is that I can sort of imagine that now that I can't actually see what I'm doing, I might dare to do things which I wouldn't dare to do when I could see it. you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And in a funny way, that idea excites me. And I won't know whether it works or not, which might, if it's a good idea, will probably be quite a good thing. Because I think if I could see, I'd kind of lose my nerve and start falling back on ways of testing the light, which might not be appropriate to that particular painting or something. I don't quite know what I'm saying, but... This is the most amazing town. I mean, more or less every step is my perfect motif. Bloody hell. I mean, you know, if it sort of gets to the point where I can begin to sort of see these things and make some sense of them, I can't imagine why I'd ever want to paint anywhere else in my life. Yes. What on earth is going on in my head? I mean, the truth is, I can't actually see anything, but I'm sort of standing here thrilled by knowing where I am and kind of semi-visualizing it. Not really in any particular way because it's too difficult yet, but just in a sort of vaguish kind of way. Because I have this thing where if I dark adapt my eye, I need to do it for about a minute, or actually less, and then I concentrate like buggery before opening my eye, and for a fraction of a second all the blind bit is dark.
Oh my God.
And then almost instantly the brain fills it in with a sort of ambient brightness which is consistent with the bit that he's actually receiving something.
Right.
I'm going to have to go now. Ah, that's interesting. If that's my eye, seems to be the dark bit seems to be a big bit that's coming in like that. But I think there's a bit that sees top and bottom and even round by my nose, which is interesting. If that is the case, that's kind of new, but I do see how it can be. And in some ways, even more critical of the telescope, because, you know, if I have the telescope sort of lined up with the blind bit, I don't see anything at all. It's funny talking about this because mostly I'm talking about the way of painting which I suppose that has been pretty much the way I've been working for perhaps 8 years or something. The sort of normal procedure was that I'd find a subject. So I'd then spend quite a lot of time being there, and up until a few years ago I would paint a gouache on the spot. Then I realized that that wasn't working, and so I tend to make the gouaches not on the spot but from short-term memory. And then I'd get somebody to photograph it for me, and then I'd come back to Bungay and think about making an oil. I usually didn't refer to the gouaches, hardly at all, once I started on the oil. So, I mean, one of the reasons was that I found it almost impossible to see gouaches when I got back. I mean, because for years I've been in this weird position where I can only really see my paintings when I'm painting them, when I'm in the thick of it. If I look at a picture that I finished 6 months ago, I probably wouldn't even know which way up it was. I know what I've been doing. I've been using green when I thought I was using black. Gosh, well that's, in a way, I'm quite pleased because that means that would explain why things weren't going quite as well as I'd hoped. It certainly indicates to people the sort of problems I'm up against.
Yeah.
Now, where's the black? Is that black?
Yeah.
And that's green.
Yeah.
That's black. (2:30 on Thursday). The sun has now come out pretty clear and strong, would you say, Pete?
Yeah.
And we're now setting off, maybe to photograph some motifs.
Feel with your stick. That's the edge of the thing. Now there's 2 steps down.
Yeah.
Hang on, there's a man coming up. Wait there.
Somebody coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, I wish I could understand this. I mean, I think there's a real motif here, but now that's a wall, it's a curve. And then this is like the thing on the other side that I was standing on. So maybe, now what's that bright sun I can see there? God, that's wonderful. It's 3:30, just gone, and there's a wonderful place where you can see right round sort of both sides, and I think this is probably a very sort of wonderful motif, but I'll have to come back another day when I'm seeing differently. Yeah, that's exciting. I suppose what I would like to happen if somebody looked at my painting is that for a millisecond or so they sort of had the experience of being me. They kind of knew what it was like being me. Not because I think I'm particularly marvellous, but because the experience that made me want to paint was a marvellous experience, and so therefore, because it was wonderful, I would like somebody else to share that experience. I'm up at the point which is the most fantastic place. It's getting better and better as I understand it more in terms of the motif. I'm doing a bit of measuring over in the corner. I mean, I think it's probably true for everybody, this, but in your case, let's say, it's happening at such a fantastically fast speed. It would be almost impossible to be conscious of it, which obviously most people don't. But in my case, I think there's a very slow sort of feedback between the actual visual sensations, such as they are, and the comprehension of the three-dimensional reality that they are coming from. And so, to begin with, I see nothing and I understand nothing.
Step up.
And then, if I'm with you or Fanny or somebody, or even just by sort of me groping about, I begin to understand in my head a little bit of the topography. And then that means that I can make a little bit more sense of the very few sensations that are coming in. Slowly, what is built up is a sort of visual experience of reality. Now, I don't know whether that is what everybody does, whether that's sort of how perception works. I should think it is. 11:51 at the point. Now the sun is absolutely, oh, bugger me. It's completely straight ahead and I'm standing behind him and I can see a wonderful dark silhouette of Peter. I wonder if that's the picture I want to paint. Oh my word, it might be. Oh, and the wall is wonderful. Yeah, go on, bugger me, this is good. It's completely wonderful, this. And it's all really looking wonderfully kind of rose-violet to me. Rose-violet orange on top of the wall, orange ground. In fact, I think the intensity of the light and the fact that good grief, I've seen something sparkling. That must be a bit of sun on the handrail, I suppose. I suppose in a way that's almost been the guiding thing for me, or certainly all the time I was painting from direct observation. The act of doing it actually enhanced my experience. That was absolutely why I did it, really. Drawing and painting actually literally changed what the world looked like for me, made it look better. Now I suppose it's slightly less obvious, all that kind of stuff, when I started painting from memory. I think the kind of transpositions were maybe of a slightly different kind, where they were almost more to do with arriving at an experience through painting, which I, because of my blindness, I wasn't actually able to have in front of nature.
That is actually a very important question, which I've kind of often half thought about, but never really thought through. Because people occasionally ask things like, you know, are you painting what you see? And well, the truth is I don't know, because I don't know what I do see, and anyway it's not a fixed thing. I mean, I suppose the only thing I know is that the first answer to that is no, because somehow what I see usually is pretty disappointing and much too little.
Adrian, the very best of luck with the rest of your treatment. Thank you
Right,
very
now,
much.
come on, piss off. Over to Edgbaston. Yeah!
Good morning and welcome to Test Match Special on BBC Radio 4 198 Longwave, 5 Live Sports Extra on digital and on the internet. Today is the first day of the second Empower Test between England and Australia, so let's join Jonathan Agnew at Edgbaston.
Australia's leading fast bowler is out of the game.
I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to make all the sea not quite as light as the lightest, but sort of getting on full. What's on the left of there?
Ahead.
So if I go like that,
Yes, but I mean, like, no, we'll take a wider arc than that.
like that?
Yes. You are going to have to do her head again. But
Is that looking sunnier now? I hope it is. How light is the sky in the oil painting?
Not very light.
Not very light.
Tonally, sort of.
Is it much lighter?
More like her white dress in shade, tonally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell, that's much too dark.
Yeah.
Right. I think in that case... It's interesting, this is, you remember yesterday I was sort of talking about that kind of, the tension between, in a sort of way, painting the sort of pictures that I thought I painted and imagining something a bit different. This is, in a way, I feel going towards a bit more the sort of pictures I paint. But it probably just means actually that the colour's harmonising more. What I'm now... Great. What I'm wondering now is whether I can still keep that yellow or whether I've got to take the edge off that. I'd be sad to lose it, but it may have to go.
and what are you going to make that decision based on?
Well, just trying to imagine the light and the sun. I can hear the lapping of the sea. It is so quiet, this place. God, it's beautiful. I'm going to try something pretty racy here, which I'm fairly sure the blue sea is absolutely wrong and isn't working.
Right.
But in fact, it's the sky that I can do something about straight away. It's still pretty intensely orange, is it?
Yeah.
Now, what's that look like? God, I wish I could see that. I bet it's interesting.
258 after England won the toss. Bill was having a period of about 45 minutes when he didn't score a run.
I don't know if you remember that. It was an Indian picture looking down these rather grandiose marble steps and out across the park. And in the end, I painted, it was high sun, I painted the sky completely neat white paint in order to make it be bright enough. I mean, it was more or less middle of the day sun, and the sky was, you know, quite blue. But the only thing I could do in the end to make it work was paint it white. And it's a good picture, actually. It's quite an exciting idea, I think.
Old Trafford. Lee picks up a bit of sawdust. Flings it away. Gets a grip on the ball now after wringing his hand through the dust. Goes in and he bowls. And Hogarth bowls! Comprehensively bowled! The offs come cartwheeled out of the ground. Classic dismissal. Well, Hogarth's annoyed, but well, he's done his job. He's sent out there as a night watchman.
Exactly what Vic Marks was saying, wasn't it?
Somewhere between 11 and maybe 9.
I love Jim Maxwell. He's fine, isn't he? He just loves it.
5 for 341 at the end of the day. On a scoreboard that looks a little bit happier than when it was 3 for 330.
But what about the light?
I certainly like that white sky. What's worrying me at the moment is the new magenta claw.
Oh, really? Now, what, at the moment, having wiped it, what tone and colour is this?
Lee, when he made 59.
Green.
Green?
Yeah.
Oh, we've taken all the black off as well as the red.
Well, green, grey, green, but pretty green.
How does it look?
No, eight, sorry. Here he comes, and bowls outside the off stump with a really good-looking defensive stroke by Flintoff, who showed mid-off the full face.
Can I see the whole thing?
Yes. It's, in a funny way, it's a very, very key colour, that. It sounds daft, this, but it wants to be blue.
Keith Warren continuing to indeed do some trundling. CMJ's can't use a right batting technique.
It's some sort of.
You were pretty good. He just couldn't hit it.
I think I'm going to try it. I can always wipe it off if it's new. Because there's sort of. The kind of got to be colours in the harmony which make it clear that that white is not a white sky. If you see what I mean.
In 1 over, the struck Warren for 2 sixes. And here is Warren again. He gives us one from out. And he bowled, and that's the end of it. Tinkoff came down the wicket, tried to swing Warren out of the ground and mid-wicket, missed. And his leg stump's on the ground, the middle stump's almost on the ground. And England
I'm sort of trying very hard to imagine this, the sort of key of this painting. I mean, I think I might be on the track of something, but I think in some ways I've sort of, there was, before I started this morning, I think it probably had a kind of wholeness, and, you know, in a way it was good and could have been finished, but it wasn't the right light. Now I think maybe I am heading towards something possible, but I think that white sky might go pale orange, and I think the sea might then go rose, and I think that might work. How far to the wall? Further, about there. And the head of the woman in the gap is about here somewhere?
Below that.
Below that. If the sky went slightly orange. Lovely idea of painting blue sky orange, isn't it? Right. It's a curious key, isn't it? Whether it does make a light, I don't know. I mean, I think, in my imagination, it's more like high sun in the day. I don't think it looks like sunset anymore, does it? What's strange in a way is that sort of blue wall on the left is the one sort of cool colour in the whole thing in a way, isn't it? so hard to know how, there is absolutely no way of knowing, never will be, but how much what's out there that you and Franny and people see is like what's in my head. I think you can get some way, you know, because if you ask one person a whole lot of questions about relationships, and then you ask somebody else and they give the same answers, that would suggest. And so on that basis, I suppose I could hello, Dan.
Oh,
What do you make of that?
I like it much more than when I last saw it.
Oh really? Good.
Very, very still.
Very what?
Still.
Still.
Mm.
That's all right. Does it look bright?
Looks late afternoon, I think.
Oh dear. Why can't I make it look like high sun? Maybe after all, I've done everything else and paint the sea blue. Hey, good thing. Let it dry before I do that.
Do you think perhaps?
Pale blue.
Or dark?
Well, it wouldn't, surely it wouldn't look like bright sun if it's dark blue.
The Nice sea in your Nice paintings is dark blue sea.
Yeah, but not with a white sky. It's not literal. I mean, the ground and the walls weren't yellow. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do the whole time. I'm trying to make the picture give off the sensation of light, of a particular light. I mean, that is the thrill for me. It is that relationship of 2 dimensions to 3. Those are the designs that I love, which I think are beautiful, the ones that turn into space. And it's trying to make it seem like space that enables me, I believe, to paint the most beautiful designs I'm capable of. Right, well, my plan, with your assistance, is to just completely wipe the sea.
There.
Well, let's just whack some paint on there for starters. Keep an eye on what's happening, will you? Because I don't want it mixing in with what's underneath too much.
Yeah. Immediately down from your lump you need to go as well.
Down there?
Careful not to go to the left. Yeah, down more. And slightly to the left of that. Yeah.
Where would be a good place to put the paint?
Up. Right. Up about, yeah, well anyway, somewhere in there. And
More down?
yeah. But straight down.
Keep going?
Yeah.
I think we'll get a reaction from the editor-in-chief.
Yes, I think there needs to be some difference between the sky and the sea more.
Well, the claw will do that.
Yes.
I think I want to make it red. Does that seem crazy to you? It's kind of to do with making it absolutely clear that that white isn't white. Where's my red? There?
No, to the
That got red on it now.
yeah.
Would you think the horizon ought to be about there?
Yes.
You would. Okay, now I'm curious to know how that agrees with the measurement. Exactly there. Fascinating. Right, and that's probably about where we'll take the claw across to.
Yeah.
Now then, you've got to watch, Fran. If I go like that,
Yes.
I mean, that feels mad to me, but is that sort of horizontal? So I want to come down and flatten out a bit. Am I heading towards my finger?
Yep, you're.
Good. Have we finished it? Don't know.
I like it. Yeah, it's sort of. Is it sort of?
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, it is perceptual, but it's also kind of crucial conceptually because it's the sort of colour equivalent of not having everything in perfect linear perspective in a funny sort of way. You've got to sort of stop people making a quick wrong guess, or do your best to stop them. I mean, paradoxically, I think what happens simply if you do that is they say, oh, I see, it's an abstract. Yeah, lovely. This is what they did to Suzanne, of course. Pete, I suppose, well, I don't know. I mean, if these pictures are finished, does that mean you might have all the footage you want? I think they could be. I mean, it's kind of impossible for me to say, really. Sure, if the people I trust, I mean, particularly Franny, but backed up by the rest of you, think that they are, then I reckon that's good enough for me. God, they've got Giles on already.
And it went like this: if England did not regale the Ashes, she'd buy me a pint of beer. If England do win the series, I promised a golden diamond. Back then it was the easiest pint I was ever going to win. I have a tentative appointment with the bank manager tomorrow morning.
I don't know what will happen. You see, it is just conceivable, I suppose, that my paintings might become more like drawings. But in a way, I'd hate that. Because even though I can't see colour anymore, I can think about it and sort of experience it in my head. And I know it's so much what my painting's been about and what people like in my paintings, and I'd love to go on making coloured pictures, like these are.
Excited by a highlight. It's just so beautiful. It's like just the sound of Bobby Williams playing one note, crying the note, that sort of deep pleasure just from that sound. I could sort of look at this for hours. It's absolutely wonderful.
On the chair opposite, and oh bugger, oh well, never mind. That's what you get if you're blind. I didn't splash anyone, did I?
No, thanks.
12:45, Friday the 20th of May. We're sitting down on the beach motif, which Peter's just recently photographed. I'm about to have a swig of my second Fanta, having knocked the first one flying before I'd had a sip. Now, the great thing about this Fanta is that it is orange, and it is on the table, and it is quite significantly darker than the top of the table. I mean, I'm trying, I suppose, to find some sort of weird middle ground between sculpture and painting or something. The experience starts with touch, and then I'm I mean, Franny, you know, takes up a pose, and I discover what it is by touch. But my brain is so used to moving freely between 2 dimensions and 3 dimensions that I can sort of discover a 3-dimensional reality and turn it into a visual experience in my head, in my imagination. I mean, I think there are ways in which, perforce, my painting has, and hopefully will, become more original. Whether it's any good or not is another matter. But I don't know. I don't think there've probably been many completely blind painters, you know, who are any good at all. So there's not a lot of competition, I don't think. but whether it's such a small pond that to be a big fish in it really is neither here nor there, we will have to find out.
Yeah.
So, now what?